So I wanted to show off a tech that I discovered recently. Um, there's a tech that allows you to teleport through hardened corrosive cubes. Um, Technically, it will kind of warp you a short distance, so you don't have to go through a hardened corrosive cube. Um, but let me explain how this works. So if you stand on an extended block, preferably one with the extended duration mod, so this can be either a piston or a spike trap. When you stand on it and it is destroyed, you will be warped to the block that the trap is attached to. Now, if there's no block above it, you just warp onto it. If there's a solid block above it, you just kind of like smack your face into it and you fall. Nothing happens. However, the interesting thing happens when you have a hardened corrosive cube above it. This kind of acts like I guess let's call it a transparent block, where you can actually get warped partially through it. So you have to kind of intentionally set this up. It's hard to do on accident, because if you don't set up the backside of the trap correctly, you just get stuck in the hardened corrosive cube and you pretty much die instantly. You have to have a space for the player to warp to. So let me demonstrate this. Let's see if I can do it first try. So you stand on it, you shoot it, you warp through. It's important that you're standing in the corner where there's space for the player. Like if I was standing on the opposite side, you can get through this, but it's a lot more finicky, a lot more difficult to successfully do this. Now, there's actually an additional trick. Like, this is not just limited to players. You can do this with guards as well. It's a lot more difficult because you have to set up the timing correctly, but let me demonstrate what that looks like. Alright, and see how the guard disappeared? He just warps to the other side. We can set this up so that the guard dies in the cube and blows up on the other side. So like if you're trying to like time an explosion, it doesn't seem very effective to do it that way. So let me demonstrate what it looks like from the player side, what that would look like. Alright. And there we go. Guard teleports through. There's a few things that I can see this being useful for. You don't need to use actually, yes, you do, because you need to destroy the piston. Alright, so the things that I can see this useful, you have some sort of setup on the player side where there's either an explosive block, so call it bomb droppers, or some explosive traps such as the spike traps or incinerator with eruption. The trap needs to trigger the other side in order to blow up the extended piston. I don't really see you being able to perfectly time that when actual players are involved with like autonomous decisions. This is going to be pretty much random whether or not the guard falls on it when it's extended or not. And if they don't fall on it when it's extended, it's kind of game over. So I don't really see this being super effective or useful for your average raid. It's not going to be some game-changing, oh, that's broken, etc. It's more interesting for people who are trying to make puzzle maps, or people who are trying to use some sort of speedrun tech. So if you want, you could create a speedrun map with intentional skips like this, where the player's intended to move through parts of the map and skip chunks of it, or like come in from a different direction than one might expect. Yeah, it just seemed like a fun little trick. Thought I'd share it and see what the community does with it. So, hope you guys enjoy.